right, so I'm here with like one of my truly best friends, um, Xavier.
Yeah, that'd be me.
Yeah, we're going to talk about some things. Recently, we got some experiences with Death Stranding. I kind of want to talk about that. I want to make that like the first thing. Um, so, X,
Yeah.
your opinion on it? Give me your opinion first, and then I'll go into mine.
it's. I'd prefer if we did the other way
You
around.
want it like me first?
um, yeah, because I think I have, even though I haven't played it myself, I have more experience with it. As far as I've seen, I want to say roughly about 8 hours of gameplay.
Okay, yeah, you've got more time in it than I
Yeah,
do.
yeah.
Um, I minimized my time frame. I have been forcing myself to try to climb a little bit harder in no pun intended. I've been trying to climb harder in Overwatch. So I've been
Okay.
kind of diversifying my time a little bit with the Death Stranding as well as the Overwatch League.
Makes sense if you want to stay competitive in
Yeah,
Overwatch.
I need a crew bad, bad. So if you're listening to this,
Yeah, we'll send out some applications.
please hit me up. I definitely need a team. I've been solo queuing for a while, and that's a problem. Um, so you want me to start on Death Stranding first?
Yeah, yeah, I'm really interested in what uh, gameplay feels like from the actual gamer who's doing it.
Okay. Um, well, Hideo Kojima. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right.
You are, yeah.
Um, Storyline as far as like hitting me in the gut with originality, he's the man.
Oh yeah, he's original, without a doubt.
He's the man. Um, I do feel like I needed a crash course to understand the plot. There's a lot of stuff in there that I'm confused about,
Okay.
but I also know his previous works, Metal Gear, and
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
so like I understand that. I mean, I understand that I'm not to understand it because Metal Gear is something that I don't think I understand even at this point.
You can't.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
so I understand that I'm going to go into
Yeah,
this
yeah.
not
Of
understanding
course.
the madness behind it, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Um, the storyline is interesting.
Okay.
It is very appealing. I can see controversy kind of happening
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
with the plot. So I haven't read any forums or anything like that. I don't follow people on that kind of thing. This is like all my take on it. I can definitely see how there's some red buttons that would be pushed in society and
Yes.
things happening. I'm going, oh, okay, well, from a storyline perspective, congratulations, you didn't pull any punches. Congratulations that this is it's not discriminative. There's nothing like racist or anything like that that I've
Mm-hmm.
seen so
Yeah,
far.
yeah, yeah.
But it's still edgy in a way, but it's still fresh and good too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if we go through mud to get to a paradise,
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with
Fair
that.
enough. Yeah.
I gameplay confusing at first.
The actual mechanics.
The mechanics and the instructions were a little bit confusing at first, even
They.
though it's simplistic.
Yeah.
Even though it's simplistic because it's so out there,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's a little disruptive at first.
I get that.
In in today's society of a lot of fast pace, a lot of action moving, a lot of button clicking, a lot of strategy and things like that,
Yeah. Yeah.
it takes everything that we know and flips it. So, the left bumper or in the right bumper
Okay.
that it's used for balance instead of hey shooting or
The balance mechanic.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
like
I have noticed that.
it
Yeah.
flips like what you would know. Like balance is something that you normally don't think about in a game.
Yeah. So anyone who hasn't played, balance comes into it starts becoming more important the more load your character carries on their back.
Yeah, and the terrain and the walking and like all that matters and the stuff that you're walking into. Like no, that's normal for certain
Yeah,
games. You know, you don't walk up river, but then it affects your stamina. Then it affects. So it's like
yeah,
it's a
yeah,
little weird to think that going up a flight of stairs may change how you influence and how you push buttons.
yeah.
It's
Or going down.
right, and what you're carrying. Like it's a
Yeah,
little weird at first to think like you don't normally put the mission in jeopardy of how you're walking.
well, I guess what another way of saying it is no, most people don't think about their journey to your mission as as being the
Yeah, like that's kind of the thing. It's like okay, well we know we have to get to point A to point B,
yeah.
but
Well, it's just fast travel.
I mean, yeah,
In most games,
yeah, in
yeah,
most games, you know,
yeah,
you fast travel or whatever, or you try to kill everything on the way. But in this game, it's more of like, what's the easiest route that I
yeah,
can take without being seen, without being spotted, and hopefully my character can walk there.
yeah.
Like
A huge part of it is not causing yourself to take damage. Like,
while walking,
yeah, yeah. It's
like
like it's not, you're not even worried about enemies causing you damage. You're worrying about you
you
causing damage to yourself.
like you're taking walking as a mechanical structure as a
Yeah,
challenge, and
yeah,
that's something like it takes a while
yeah.
getting used to of like, hey, let's just walk here, but hey, but how are we going to carry this, and how are we going to load this out, and how's
Yeah,
this going to, like, is this
yeah.
going to affect me, and should I pick this up because this is affecting me
That's
here,
true. Yeah.
like,
How much can I really hold to make this journey?
right. And am I if I find something along the way, which is another thing in the game where you
Yeah, the
find
lost
other,
cargo.
yeah,
Yeah,
if I find something, is it going to weigh too much that's going to affect the rest of my journey
mm-hmm.
from point A to point
Yeah,
B?
yeah,
Is that going to affect me? Am I going to be slower? Am I going to ruin more stamina? And it's like I'm even fearful. First of all, the loadout of where you're carrying stuff
mm-hmm.
is ridiculous.
There's a way to optimize your loadout, right?
Sorta,
Okay.
but if it was, the instructions were kind of vague to me.
I will say this: the loadout screen, that user interface, looks horrendous.
Yeah, yeah. Now, keep in mind, this is. I will fully agree with that.
Yeah,
And for anybody that will listen to this in the future, UX and UI design is kind of like one of my backgrounds right now.
yeah, yeah.
And I'm telling you, I am confused. Okay, like I am confused. I am looking at it, going, "What?" And like there should been
The issue I have with it is the color scheme. The fact that all the different headings in it have the same color, and they didn't kind of differentiate the different headings with different colors or different fonts, bothers me a little bit.
in today's society, we're kind of like geared towards. Sorry for my chair squeaking. We're um we're kind of geared towards fast-paced input and video instructions.
Mm-hmm.
We want to do the instructions before we read the instructions.
Yeah, that's true.
There's a lot of text on screen, and it's hard to decipher which one's important.
Exactly. Yeah. It's
Um,
so dense.
yeah, and because you're diving into something that's totally new,
Yeah.
it's a lot of it's overwhelming.
There's a lot
Um,
of new information. Yeah.
it should have been done in stages to make it easier for me
Mm-hmm.
to
Yeah.
say, okay, you can carry this, but it's going to have these effects, and
Yeah.
learn into that.
True.
That's like developing habitual forms. But don't get me wrong, like I said, the mechanics of it and the strategy of it is way wow,
Yeah.
just wow. I am overwhelmed with the general concept of the game.
Yeah.
I'm just overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's all I can say about the mechanics. If there's
Gotcha.
something like specific you want to ask me, or like I don't know, because like I said, I've only got 3 or 4 hours into it,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I've done a couple of missions here and there. That's the mechanics are just
Yeah. So, I guess everything that you can kind of bring to this are the mechanics and the gameplay style. The only thing I can bring to it is what I've seen of the lore, of the plot of the game, and that boggles my mind. So, Hideo Kojima, um, everyone knows as the mastermind behind the Metal Gear series. Metal Gear One, being the PlayStation classic, is easily his masterpiece. That's his magnum opus. Best thing he's ever going to make. Everything after that was still good, but it was convoluted to the point of not being understood. I beat Metal Gear 2, maybe three times, and I still can't tell you what that game is about.
Yeah, yeah, I loved it, but I
Yeah,
have no idea.
yeah,
If I wanted to explain it to somebody, I'd
yeah.
be like,
No idea.
yeah, yeah,
Play Metal Gear 1, and maybe you'll understand.
I don't know.
Now, the same thing's going on with Death Stranding. I can tell you, after after watching 8, maybe 10 hours of the game, I have the same level of understanding of the game as you do. I thought that the first 2 or 3 hours they were going to keep you confused, like any good movie.
Right?
The first act, they confuse you just enough to create suspense to make you want to watch or play more in this case. And throughout the second and third act, everything is unfolding and is explained to you. Things are explained to you in this game, but there's still a huge level of confusion as to how all the pieces fit together and why you should care. Now, there is this overarching story of them wanting to rebuild the nation and needing a figurehead, a president in this case,
I guess you could say
to
spoilers.
well, this isn't even a huge spoiler.
Okay, all right.
The uh, that's just the concept of the game, wanting to rebuild this nation.
Well, see, I said spoilers because I literally did zero research for the game when I
Oh,
picked it
okay,
up at all.
okay.
I just saw
No,
Hideo Kojima, and
no,
that was it.
this is just a huge service to people who know nothing about the
Yeah,
game.
that was just it for
Just
me.
just letting them know that the overarching storyline is wanting to rebuild this nation. Now, spoilers, spoilers
Here
will
we go.
follow here. Um, you the person who will become the president. I'm not going to tell you who it is, but that person is related to the main character, and there is this family connection as well as career connection as to how the main character will help with the rebuilding of the nation, and his family member how they will help with the rebuilding of the nation as well. And then you have these shadowy figures that are maybe alive, maybe undead, called BTs, that no one knows how to. Everyone's scared of, basically, and that's why everyone's restricted to being inside of their buildings. Why no one really traverses areas. That's what your main character does. He traverses these areas. He's known as, I think they call him a porter. He's basically a
Yeah,
delivery guy.
yeah, yeah.
That's who he is. That's what he does. He's a delivery guy, and he's the best at what he does. And no one really wants to deal with these BTS. And these BTS, for your knowledge, spoiler alert, they are invisible to the naked eye. And there's only one way you can actually even see them, even sense them, is with these things called BBs. BBs are literal babies. They are babies inside of an artificial womb. And through technology, you are able to connect with one and you're able to see these things. Now, I don't know what you were talking about as far as controversy, but for me, this is the controversial part.
Yeah,
The babies.
I was thinking that. I was
Yeah.
thinking that. We were
And
hitting the same point.
I'm not going to get to what kind of weirded me out about it, but there was a part where, in the storyline, where um, there is a character called Dead Man. Um, Pretty awesome because he is actually voiced by Guillermo del Toro.
I'm glad you pronounced it. I would have messed that all up.
Yeah, the horror mastermind. Um, he's in there, and he has this line where he's talking to the main character, who's also awesome, being voiced by Norman Reedus. Um, they have a little back and forth at one point about what to do with his BB. Um, this is shortly after he first finds it, and what is said to him is super controversial to me, and I'm not even,
Yeah, I know exactly. I
yeah,
got to that point.
yeah.
I know
I
what you're
was
talking about.
like, ooh.
Ah, yeah.
but bypassing that and getting back to the story, um, it's very original. The mechanics are very original, very innovative. Um, the story looks like it could, uh, um, with the right direction, be a great one, but there is too much vagueness in this in the execution of this game. And I worry that after another 30 or 40 hours in the game, it won't improve. It's it's enough to make people want to drop the game before it gets good.
Okay, so I hear you. Um, what I am thinking, you made me think about something that I can kind of agree with.
Okay.
The premise of the BTS, and for the first introduction for me,
Yeah.
for me,
Mm-hmm.
um, a game of this magnitude or in this genre, action adventure horror slash
Mm-hmm.
whatever, has to have that oh crap factor. I'm censoring myself because I don't know where this is actually going to upload and
Fair.
everything.
Okay.
Okay, um, the oh crap factor. This game does that. The first time you get that old crap factor,
Mm-hmm.
you know exactly what it is
Mm-hmm.
and where it is.
Mm-hmm.
And it's at the since you only watch the gameplay,
Yeah. Yeah.
the the main first mission where you actually have consequences.
Okay. Yeah.
And coming back from that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about now.
I think so.
Yeah. That's the first oh crap factor that I had. And that was like literally everything changed for me there
Mm-hmm.
as far as now you're on your own. Now the BTs are there. Now
Yeah.
you're this far away.
Yeah.
Now you know
Yeah.
exactly what I'm talking
I
about.
think so. Yeah.
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 So like all of that,
Mm-hmm.
and you're trying to walk through and navigate, and then you
Yeah.
get to see them all over the place. Is like,
Yeah. Yeah.
oh
Yeah.
crap.
Yeah.
Everything changed in the game for me there.
Yeah.
I was actually skeptical going out from here on out.
Gotcha.
I was actually, and I love the elevation because at first it was just a mission. And shout out to the soundtrack and the integration of the soundtrack in this
Gotcha.
game.
Yeah.
First of all, like that is somebody that does music and
So
loves music.
yeah. So that's one of the things that I didn't know how it rubbed me. I didn't know whether it was good or bad, because when you're doing these long stretches of walking, there's long moments where there's no almost no sound at all, but then they'll pan out in certain parts, and they'll hit you with this really nice, like, melodic, almost atmospheric song. And I guess it's only at moments where the mission, I mean, not, I'm sorry, not the mission, but the main story is like really taking a hold of you. But I didn't know whether I wanted more silence or more music. It just felt weird for it to be doing
See,
both.
and that's the difference. Like when you're playing it, um, I guess that's a good thing too because it
Yeah.
has two different feels.
Yeah.
When you're playing it, it hits home because you're having that moment being lost in that character.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then when you come out of the base for the first time and you're going that main mission that I was
Mhm.
talking about,
Yeah.
and then that soundtrack hits you,
Yeah.
it's the emotional ramifications of everything.
Okay.
Like
Gotcha.
then you're going, and it's like
Okay.
it plays right with what you want,
Gotcha.
and you're lost in that moment.
Okay.
Then when there's the absence of sound, it plays into that moment of being out there on your own, being alone, like
see.
yeah. So it's like
I
one of those
see.
things that it's done really well, and you don't get that feel when you tap the I don't know what button that's called on the PlayStation controller, the middle tab button, whatever
The
that.
touchpad.
Yeah, the touchpad.
Yeah.
Okay, whenever you touch that,
Yeah.
your character actually calls out and says, "Hey, I'm Sam," or something along the lines, and you can hear his voice echo.
Oh.
See, that's another thing you don't get.
Yeah.
Um, and you don't get the fear behind accidentally touching that button.
Oh wow! I
see,
didn't even think about
see,
that.
like when
Yeah.
you're when I was coming out of the base
Yeah.
on that mission,
Yeah.
and I'm surrounded by that, and I accidentally touched that button.
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh God, please don't hear me! Oh God, please don't respond to sound."
I wonder if that wasn't. I wondered if that was an intended part of gameplay, or if he intended on people accidentally pressing it.
I don't know. I don't. I've only got 3 hours in, so I don't know if that was a thing, or you're going to be able to find refugees or anything like. I don't know that
Yeah. Yeah.
because that's what made me think about it. I was like,
That's interesting.
"Oh crap, that's a
Yeah.
whole nother level of mechanics that I didn't think about."
Yeah.
Instead of like Resident Evil esque, you're trapped in the middle of nowhere and you hope they don't hear you.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
so
Absolutely.
so
Absolutely.
it's a little bit different, and you're trying to move quietly and stick. So like I like that part, and that's another mechanic part I can give a bonus to.
Hmm.
Soundtrack I can give props to all day
Yeah.
long.
Yeah.
I actually downloaded a couple of songs for my Amazon Music account just because it's that good.
Wow.
I love that. I love the aspects of that game. Um, now I'm gonna cut like we got like 9 minutes to get this in the can.
Yeah.
But what I want to do is I want to talk about the overall arc of the game. Great so far.
Yeah.
The mechanics,
Yeah.
just the strategy of that, the
Hmm.
understanding of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I definitely would have no idea where we're going or how it's going to end up.
Yeah.
But to touch on what you were saying, as far as the ambiguousness
Yeah.
of the characters and the
Hmm.
design, I do see it becoming lackluster if they don't do some kind of
Yeah.
ramifications.
Yeah.
If there's a
Yeah.
cost and effect in Resident Evil 7, for example, there's a cost and effect. If you
Yeah.
mess up,
Yeah.
you see the results. There's an
Yeah.
effect right
Yeah.
then and there. In
Gotcha.
this, it's more of I haven't died yet, so I don't know.
Gotcha.
But if there's no repercussions that actually happen,
I can't wait for you to die for the first time because it's an experience. Let me just put it that way.
now if we're talking about the visuals and we see all the stuff, that's part of the story progression that it happened.
Hmm.
But on my own, like if it's a story progression, yeah, I already got to that part.
Okay.
But on my own,
Oh, okay.
I don't. If there's nothing that happens,
Yeah, I will say, as far as I've seen, there aren't any true ramifications for dying.
right? So then that's going to take
Yeah.
me out of the element.
Yeah. What I will say is, um, the only I will forgive a lot of things because I know Hideo is really good at making games. He's great at it. But what I'm not liking about this that I truly enjoyed about Metal Gear Solid 1 is pacing. I do not care for the pacing of this game at all.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like there's times where I'm stuck inside of the barracks
Yeah.
and I don't feel like there's a sense of urgency or meeting
Yeah.
or in between. I just don't feel like that.
Yeah.
You know, like this is like my fourth or fifth mission,
Hmm.
and I haven't gotten a weapon yet.
Um,
So I don't even know if there is a weapon or if there's a point of a weapon or
got you.
I don't know.
I'm a little hazy on if your character will get a weapon. I'm all I'll say is don't plan on it, or at least in the early game, because that's what I've seen. Don't plan in the early game for that to be a main focus of your game. I will say that. I got to the point where I saw a major villain, and it took a while for the player, the gamer, to get to that point, and um, I didn't like how much repetition was needed in order to get to that first main villain.
I don't understand the function of a world that is in this kind of turmoil.
Mm-hmm.
To think about everything from mechanics to how you walk to weight distribution to balance
Yeah,
to going against marauders, mules is what they call them, to
yeah,
go
yeah.
against those and not have a weapon of any sort. I don't understand the function of this. You're rebuilding
I
America.
I
You're
understand it to the, I mean, story wise, plot wise. No, it doesn't make any sense. But as far as gameplay wise, I get it. It builds the suspense of, even though I can come back from death, you know, death hurts. Living hurts. I'm going to try to survive as long as I can, and these people are a real threat if I don't even have a weapon. I get that much. But yeah, I agree. Plot wise, it doesn't make sense to traverse America without a weapon.
Okay, so like 2 more minutes. Do you think the game's worth it?
If you're a Hideo fan, yes. If you're looking for the next franchise after Metal Gear with engrossing story, yes. But if you don't answer yes to those questions, I would have to say no.
I don't want to do 1 out of 10 or 5 stars or anything like that. If you had to, would you where would you rate that, and how much would you spend for this game?
If I did not have the ability to watch this game being played, I would buy it.
Okay.
But otherwise, I would say no. I'd say get together with some friends and one of you buy the game.
Okay.
But it is not worth. I don't think, as of yet, as from what I've seen from the game, I do not think it's worth a $60 or $70 price point.
Okay. Um, I can kind of concur with that. I go a little bit more extensive and deep in the situation. Somebody with computer animation and all this kind of crap in my
Mm-hmm.
background, I say as a student, because if you're in animation, you're always going to be a student of animation.
Mm-hmm.
It's worth to look at.
Mm-hmm.
It's worth to change the way you think of things
Yeah.
if you're coming from that background. As a player or as a gamer, um, I kind of agree. One of you get it, uh, and just observe and watch, and it'll give you unscripted 30 plus minutes to
Mm-hmm.
talk about
Yeah.
what you just saw,
Yeah.
and builds a community, and that's another mechanic in the game, that you can actually share likes for helping each other out
Mm-hmm.
in the game,
Oh, we didn't
even
even
though
touch on the
yeah,
the present but not present co-op
yeah, yeah,
aspect,
that's
which is
that's
weird as well.
that's a whole nother thing. But that's done great. um as far as when I buy it, I mean, obviously I did. But right now, do I have regrets about it? No, because it's something that I will own. So
Mm-hmm.
I can't say that I regret it or would have regrets of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So if that helps you, good luck with that. I'm gonna put this one in the can, and
Yeah. Let's put a pin in this one.
we're gonna move to the next one.